want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also want to acknowledge all the Akyam who are pushing this truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth, and shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. This is Shabai from the GMS Denver, and just going in on another lesson through the Spirit. I just picked up my scriptures and I opened this Proverbs 10. So we'll go ahead and just do a lesson in Proverbs 10. It says, "The Proverbs of Solomon, a wise son maketh a glad father, but a foolish son is the heaviness of his mother." And really that wise son is the elect men, the ones who are seeking this knowledge, seeking this truth. And who's that glad father is Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, right? Oh shit, what happened there? Let's keep reading. Alright, treasures of the wickedness profit nothing, but the righteousness delivereth from death. Yeah, if you're getting all these riches and these carnal, earthly things, it's okay to get things, but if it's through wickedness, that's a different story. But the best thing that we can do to profit anything is walk in the spirit of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai and gather this oil while we're here. It says, because that's how that we're going to be delivered from the death. We're going to be delivered from that nuclear World War III, so long as we make our calling and election sure, and we're diligent in this thing of ours, you see. Verse 3, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, will not suffer the soul of the righteous to famish, but he casteth away the substance of the wicked. He becometh poor that dealeth with a slack hand, but the hand of the diligent maketh rich. So, really the most important riches and what makes us rich is having this knowledge. Because we know it's better, it's more valuable than money. It's more valuable than gold and silver. You see? So this is what really makes us rich, and this is what really profits us. But you got to be diligent. That's why it says, but the hand of the diligent maketh rich. Right? We're not talking about you're a fly-by-night Israelite, and you just walk by the camps and throw up your fist and say shalom to the brothers, but that's all you do. You don't have no works, to back up your faith. This is the diligent is dealing with the elect, with the men who are actually to have the Spirit on them to do the work. He that gathereth in the summer is a wise son, but he that sleepeth in harvest is a son that causeth shame. And really, when again, coming in with this truth, we're gathering we're like those 5 wise virgins that are gathering the oil, right? And that's what we're doing right now. We're gathering. This is like the summer. You can look at this, the summer. When Yahweh Shai comes, that's going to be the harvest. All right? So we're diligent, like they have a saying, how does the saying go? Let me think real quick. Summer bodies are made in the spring. You see? So you want to have that summer body. You ain't gonna start in fucking July and start working out. You're all out of shape. No, you're gonna get that summer body in the fucking spring. You're gonna get ahead of the game. It's the same thing with this knowledge, with this truth. We're working before Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, touches down, if you will. Before Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai visits the earth. which he's already visiting. They're already visiting the earth, but there's going to be a time when Yahweh Shai literally cracks the clouds, and we want to be prepared when that day happens. Blessings are upon the head of the just, but violence covereth the mouth of the wicked. Right? The memory of the just is blessed, but the name of the wicked shall rot. Right, because at the end of the day, once Esau gets destroyed, once his kingdom gets put to sleep, you're not going to be talking about Esau no more in the kingdom. Nobody's going to be, like the women right now. They love Esau. They follow everything Esau says. They'll listen to their boss at work before they listen to their own husbands. Right? These women, they'll the name of the wicked right now is good in the taste of their mouths. But when the kingdom comes, hey, they're going to be ashamed. They're going to wish there was, they're going to be in their right mindset, I should say. Verse 8. The wise in heart will receive commandments, but a prating fool shall fall. Right. It's wise to take heed to this knowledge and this truth. It's wise to, keep the commandments to the best of your ability. If you don't even consider the laws of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and you're out here living like a beast, that doesn't say much for you right now. But you got to know that the men who are in this knowledge and this ministry, we try to keep the laws to the best of our ability. You see. He that walketh uprightly walketh surely, but he that perverteth his ways shall be known. Right. And the perfect prime example is who? Is Mr. Peg Leg himself. Mr. Eleazar. He wasn't walking uprightly. And his perversion is known now by the whole community, I don't even know how that dude shows his face now, The Lord humbled him. Verse 10, he that winketh with the eye causeth sorrow, but a prating fool shall fall. And really, when you wink your eye, someone who winks their eye is plotting perversion, So if you have anybody, if it's a woman, she winks at you, winking has to deal with wickedness, man. You can't be walking around winking at motherfuckers if you're a married woman. That's wicked as hell, And you have women doing this shit all the time. And men too, you know what I'm saying? But you got to be plotting perversion if you're winking at somebody. Hatred stirreth up strifes, but love covereth all sins. And love goes back to obedience. So remember, when you're obedient, that's when you show love. In the lips of him that hath understanding, wisdom is found. But a rod is for the back of him that is void of understanding. Meaning, you get whooped, you get in trouble. If you're not moving uprightly, eventually, if you're always wicked and you're doing wicked shit, eventually you're gonna get whooped. You see? You gotta walk uprightly, man, especially if you're an Israelite. And if you have understanding, that's where you're going to have wisdom. Wisdom and understanding is synonymous. They go together. Wise men lay up knowledge, but the mouth of the foolish is near destruction. Right, if you're a non-believer, if you don't believe this knowledge, this truth that we're teaching, the doctrine we're pushing, which is starts out at the elder apostles of GMS on down, You know, you're gonna find destruction if you don't cleave to this knowledge. If you're not part of the elect, you're not gonna receive this knowledge. You're not gonna receive this truth, and eventually you're gonna be destroyed for your lack of faith and for your lack of belief. The rich man's wealth is his strong city. The destruction of the poor is their poverty. Right. The labor of the righteous tendeth to life, the fruit of the wicked to sin. And so what do we do when we go to do the work? These are our labors. People count us as madmen because we do the labor, because we do the work of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. People think we went crazy, right? It reminds me of the Wisdom of Solomon 5, the 5th chapter. Says, "Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him, and made him no account of his labors." You see? So this is the time where we're standing in boldness because we have this truth. Us understanding these scriptures, us being able to walk in the spirit of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai and knowing what that spirit is and what it's like, this causes us to move in boldness. You know? Kevin Samuels, the guy that passed away, he would talk about high value men. Well, guess what? The most high value men on the planet Earth are the men who are gathering this oil right now, and that's why we're able to walk in our life in boldness. We have the most powerful thing that is on the earth in the planet. Literally, we have the most powerful thing on this planet Earth is having this knowledge, having this truth. You see? But these people, they're in such darkness, they don't even make an account of our labors. They can't, if you're not of the elect, you're not going to see the value. You're not going to see what this is really about. If you don't have, if you're not set up to believe this knowledge, believe this truth, you won't make an account of your labors, you see? But yes, the men who are in this truth, the ones who are sincere, they're the most high-valued men on the planet Earth. And, the rest of these people, they're not going to find out and believe this until, calamity hits them. Until Jacob trouble pops off. All right? It says in verse 17, "He is in the way of life that keepeth instruction, but he that refuseth reproof erreth." All right, you don't want to be reprimanded. You don't want to be corrected. You don't want to be taught the laws and statutes and commandments. Well, guess what? You're in a spirit of error, and it's going to cost you your life. All right? You're going to have lots of plagues and calamities hit this place, and if you're not in the right spirit, you don't want to be reproved, you don't want to be rebuked, you don't want to be corrected, you don't want to repent. If you're an Israelite, well, you're gonna just find yourself in as a sacrifice, you're gonna get destroyed. Okay? "He that hideth hatred with lying lips, and he that uttereth a slander is a fool. In the multitude of words there wanteth not sin, but he that refraineth his lips is wise." And I did a lesson on the power of the tongue about a week ago. The power of the tongue is immense. You see, you can curse yourself with the things that come out of your mouth, or you can bless yourself with the things that come out of your mouth. It's always good to think before you speak. And if you're able to refrain your lips, meaning you're able to hold back your talk, hold your peace, unless you're, an elder and you have the wisdom, it's wise to just hold your tongue. "The tongue of the just is a choice silver." See that? So the words that come out the prophets, the true prophets, the ones who have the understanding, the ones who have the knowledge, our words are likened unto silver. You see, the heart of the wicked is little worth, right? The mind of the wicked, that don't mean shit. You know, you got wicked thoughts, you got wicked words, you got wicked intentions. Well, you ain't nothing. The value is with this knowledge, is with this truth. You see, the tongue of the just is as choice silver, meaning, you know, if you have a lot of silver, you know, depending on how much you have, how much weight, hey, you're considered a rich person. And that's what this knowledge and understanding is likened unto. It's likened unto silver, but when you really go into the deep depth of it, it's better than silver. It's better than gold. It's better than riches. It's better than digital currency. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're moving to. The lips of the righteous feed many, but fools die for want of wisdom. So yeah, the lips of the righteous, who is that? That's the true prophets that are teaching on the street corners, and they're teaching sound doctrine. You know? And we're feeding many, and that many is the elect, because we know and we understand that only the elect are going to receive this knowledge. Only the elect are going to receive this truth. See? It says, the blessing of Yahweh maketh rich, and he addeth no sorrow with it. It is as sport to a fool to do mischief, but a man of understanding hath wisdom. Right, and if you're not in this knowledge and this truth, you're really the blind leading the blind. When no matter what you're doing, it's all vanity. It's all for nothing. You know, it's not gonna. In the end, it's not gonna. None of this other stuff's gonna do. You know, it's not gonna profit you. You're not gonna benefit when Yahweh Hashem Yoshai crack the clouds. You know, you're not gonna. If you're not in this fold of Yahweh Hashem Yoshai, if you're not seeking Yahweh Hashem Yoshai early, you know, it's going to be all for nothing for you. The fear of the wicked, it shall come upon him, but the desire of the righteous shall be granted. Right, everything you fear for, that's going to be brought to life when Yahweh Hashem Yoshai sends these plagues on the planet Earth. You know? But the desire of the righteous shall be granted. And what's our desire? Our desire is to be delivered from this place. You see? And if we're the righteous, if we're the elect, that's why we refer to ourselves as the hopeful elect. If we're those men, and guess what? We're going to be granted salvation. Salvation meaning we're going to get saved, you know, during a time of nuclear World War III, during a time of destruction and missiles flying through the air. If we're those righteous men, we're going to go up in those chariots. It says, as the whirlwind passeth, so is the wicked no more. But the righteous is an everlasting foundation, right? Because it tells you in the scriptures that there'll be some here that shall not taste death. Some of the righteous are not going to taste death, and we're going to have an everlasting foundation. It starts out with Yahweh Shai. You see? And the righteous, it's an everlasting foundation, because we're going to, if we're of the elect, we're going to go from the state of in these corrupt bodies to that heavenly body into the kingdom, transitioning into you know, our heavenly kingdom where we rule, and we're going to continue, meaning like we like I just mentioned, we're not going to taste death. Some of us are not going to die. Some of us are going to go up in a chariot. We're going to get our new bodies, and then we're going to come back down. You know, that's that Jerusalem coming down from heaven. And you know, first and foremost, when we come down, we're going to be hunting for the wicked elite, hunting them out their bunkers, putting them in shackles. You see? So it's going to be an everlasting thing. So whatever we're going through right now, it really don't matter, because what we're going to go into is dealing with everlasting. Verse 27, the fear of Yahweh prolongeth days, but the years of the wicked shall be shortened. Right, because if you fear Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, you're gonna move wisely. You're gonna move according to the commandments. But if you act like a fool or you act like the wicked, there's some that you lose that hedge. Potentially, something could happen to you because you don't have a hedge around you. When people die, usually when someone dies, it's not surprising because you say, "Oh, I saw that coming," or this person was living this kind of lifestyle, and you really weren't surprised when you found out they died. You know what I'm saying? Verse 28, the hope of the righteous shall be gladness, but the expectation of the wicked shall perish. Right. What's the expectation of the wicked? You really don't have no expectations, because if you don't have any, you haven't invested into this knowledge, into this truth, the only thing for you is going to be destruction when everything hits the fan. You know what I'm saying? When everything hits the fan, there ain't going to be nothing to protect you. That's why it says the expectation of the wicked shall perish. You're going to be a done deal. You can't be saved by your money. You can't be saved by your woman. You can't be saved by your parents. You can't be saved by your guns. The righteous shall never be removed, but the wicked shall not inhabit the earth. Right? Because the righteous, we're going to have those everlasting bodies. And like it says, some of us, we're going to go right from this flesh right to our everlasting body without dying. But you're not going to have the wicked inhabiting the earth. When we get the kingdom, when we establish dominion, starting first and foremost with Yahweh Shai, when the kingdom is, translated to the Israelites, there ain't going to be no wicked on the earth. All this wicked shit you see, all these women, all these men, in their wickedness, this is going to be a thing of the past. You're not even going to know, how to commit wickedness if you're an Israelite in the kingdom. You're gonna be so in tune because you're gonna be in that spiritual celestial body, which it's like you can shapeshift in the kingdom, man. You're gonna be able to be a spirit. You're gonna be able to be flesh. You're gonna walk as a man on the earth, and you're gonna be able to, go up in a chariot, up in a space travel and whatnot. But there ain't gonna be no wicked in that time. And the wicked that does try to creep through is going to be cut off. We're going to nip that in the bud. As soon as the heathen try to go off, they're going to be paying for their sins immediately. You're not going to have a right to a speedy trial because we're going to know everything. If you're the heathen and you're going off, you're trying to commit adultery or you're trying to break one of the laws, you're going to get dealt with according to the law. Verse 31, the mouth of the just bringeth forth wisdom, but the froward tongue shall be cut out. Right. And this is what I'm telling you right now, this is justful speaking. This is a just lesson. You know what I'm saying? Righteous lesson. We're coming right out the scriptures, coming right out the book. We're not speaking frowardly. We're staying in line with the scriptures. We're keeping the doctrine sound, and so therefore this is going to bring forth wisdom to the ones who are able to receive. Right, verse 32, the last one, and I'm going to close out. The lips of the righteous know what is acceptable, but the mouth of the wicked speaketh frowardness. Right, so the prophets, starts out with the prophets. The lips of the righteous, starts out with us. Listen. You might walk around saying you're a good person, and that person, he's a good person, or she's a good person. Man, if they're not doing the will of the Most High, if they're not following to the best of their ability out of the laws of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai, if like that has nothing to do with their life, then they're wicked. It doesn't matter if their intentions was to be nice or to be good. If they're not walking in the ways of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai, then guess what? They're a waste of time. Anybody. And you're going to have 2/3 of our own people that are going to be a waste of time. They're going to be like, oh, well, he fed the homeless. I saw him one time spend $200 just to feed the homeless, But yet he was committing adultery, or he was calling on a cracker Jesus. You see? You got to know the truth to get profit in this thing. And that's why it says the mouth of the just bringeth forth wisdom. If you don't listen to the just men, the just teachers, the righteous teachers, the true teachers of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai, and you don't get instruction from them, you're not going to, whatever you do, it's not going to cut it. It's not going to be up to par. You see? You got to know according to the ways of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai. You got to call on the true names. You got to be in the right spirit. I just did a lesson this morning. It was talking about you got to have that what was it, Matthew 10 or no 22. It says right here, let me see. Let me get that. Okay, verse Matthew 22 and 11, it says here, and when the king came in to see the guests, he saw there a man which had not on a wedding garment. See, so if you're bid to the marriage, meaning you're invited to the marriage, which that's being joined together with Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai, for salvation. If you're not in the right spirit, like this guy, he didn't have a wedding garment for the wedding. It's a parable. Well, guess what? You're not going to be accepted. What happens to the person who doesn't have the right wedding garment on? It says, and he saith unto him, friend, how camest thou in hither, not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless. Then said the king to the servants, bind him hand and foot, and take him away, and cast him into the outer darkness, and there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth, for many are called, but few are chosen. You see, so if you're not coming in the right spirit, you don't have the right garment on, you're going to get casted out. That's why it's important to hearken to the true prophets of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai. You listen to anything outside of that, motherfuckers who are, calling on cracker Jesus, motherfuckers who are not coming in the right spirit, they're going to just bring you to destruction, get you destroyed along with themselves. The blind lead the blind, they both shall fall into a ditch. All right? So I'm going to go ahead and close out on that. I want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahweh, B'Hashem, Yahushai, B'Hashem, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. I also want to acknowledge all the Hakim who are pushing truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. And Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. Shalom.